Hey everyone, just a quick reminder that Lash Boss Summit is taking place on April 25th through 27th in Austin, Texas this year. Standard tickets are $4.99 and VIP is $6.99, and you can get $100 off either ticket if you use code LashBossRadio. The agenda, tickets, and more are all on lashbosssummit.com, so check it out and enjoy today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lash Boss Radio. I'm Shelby, your host, and today I'm joined by Erica Schram. She owns a social media management agency for lash artists and salon owners, and she also is a podcast host of Lash Bibs Babes podcast, and she also organizes Lash Bibs Babes online conference every year. I'm so excited to bring her on the show today. We're going to talk all about social media, and I know this is always a great topic for lash artists and salon owners alike. So welcome to the show, Erica.
Thank you so much, Shelby. I've been just an avid listener of Lash Boss Radio the entire time that it's been a thing. So I am super excited to be on here today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm equally as excited. So let's hop right into maybe just your timeline in the industry so far, just how you got here.
Yeah, so I feel like I've done so many different things within the industry, but really it gets started back in 2010, 2011-ish. My sister was actually a lash extension trainer with a company that's no longer a company anymore. But she would come home and practice lash extensions on myself and my friends while we were in high school. And this was when classic lashes were in pots still. So very, very long time ago. And so that's really, I had gone with her to be a model for different lash extension classes that she was teaching. And so I had sat through multiple different lash classes before I ever actually took one myself. And so that was a very different start for me in the industry, but I decided to go to school for it a few years later myself. And, I went to aesthetic school, got my master aesthetics license in Utah. And then I started working for a franchise lash studio right out of school. I worked there for about a year. And after that, I kind of felt maxed out and decided I wanted to go out on my own and just keep learning and keep growing in the industry. And so I went out on my own and did lashes and aesthetics part-time for a handful of years before we moved. And then once we moved, I kind of decided I wanted to really go full force with it, grew my clientele very quickly, took it full time. And so I've been lashing for nearly 10 years now. But at the end of 2021, I closed my lash studio to go full time into, the online education world, podcasting, coaching, lash education courses, teaching in person. So I did that for a couple of years. We ended up moving again, and that's where I'm at now. And I was on maternity leave with my third baby when I got the idea for the online conference. So we've been doing that for nearly 3 years now. And that's also when I opened the social media management agency, and that's just grown super quickly. We have done social media for over 20 different salons and beauty businesses over the last year and a half, all the way from Florida to Canada. So that kind of keeps you up to speed. I feel like I've kind of dabbled in a few different things within the industry. But that's the really great part, is that it gives you all that experience that you need to really be able to help people with their social media and do a good job on it for them.
Yeah, I feel like as people that are in the beauty industry, it's also we got to be content creators too now, and it just feels sometimes really daunting. And so I see it a lot where people end up at some point just reaching out for help and getting somebody to either do their social media for them or coach them through it. So it's a really cool position that you have to be able to help people with that, because it's a need. All of us need it. We can't really grow without it.
Yeah, I absolutely would agree with that. I've heard it phrased basically that it's the new word of mouth, right? Obviously, traditional word of mouth is still a thing, but this day and age where everything is so digitized, social media is definitely such a way to reach people in your area. And I don't know about you, but I look up random businesses that I drive by, and if I can't find them online, it's okay, I forget about it and I don't engage any further. So it definitely is an important part of growing a business these days.
Exactly. Like, even if you do hear about somebody from word of mouth, you go and just double check online.
Yeah.
And then you're either saying like, "Wow, this place is really cool," or like, "What is my friend talking about?" Like, this place is not, I don't know. So, yeah, it's super important. So, if an artist listening is wanting to get better at social media, just in terms of like posting consistently, posting better quality, where do you suggest that they start? Is that more like time blocking things? Is it buying certain products? Is it investing in certain courses? Like, where should they start?
That's such a great question. And there's so many lash artists and just other beauty professionals who find themselves in that position where it's like, hey, I really want to grow this year. And I know social media is going to help me get there. That's the position I found myself in like beginning of 2020. And I think what helped myself the most, what's helped my students the most, what's helped our clients the most, like any of the ones that we've kind of coached through this, is you really do have to sit down and schedule things out. I feel like the better prepared you are ahead of time, the better quality content you're going to be able to put out there and the less stressed you're going to be with it. So, really being able to plan out your content calendar, make sure you have the videos, the pictures that you need for that. And I would highly recommend getting like a scheduling platform to use so you can schedule things out ahead of time because there's literally, I'm sure you can relate to this, nothing worse than taking a full day of clients or being busy all day long and finding yourself at the end of the day being like, oh my gosh, now I need to post online. And you're so done for the day and you don't want to do it. And that's what's going to help you or contribute to you feeling burnt out with social media and you're not going to want to stay on top of it. So if you can be prepared ahead of time, be scheduling these things, I think that's just a very simple way to really get started with staying consistent online and maybe upping like the quality of content that you're putting out there as well.
Yeah, I definitely get into that cycle of like, oh yeah, I meant to post something. I have nothing to post. Let me go search for
Yeah.
something to post. And then yeah, it feels like it takes longer, it's more daunting, and then or if you choose not to post something, you're like, what's one more day? I haven't been posting all month. So like, yeah, I totally relate to that. And I think um having having a content calendar is a really good idea. I know somebody has these what to post cards. Kayla Zigic,
Oh,
um,
yeah. That's cool.
she does socials for salons, and she has these cards that she like. You just pull a card, and it's like what you can post as a beauty professional. So it's really kind of similar in like just taking the guesswork out of it and just having a plan. How often do you create content each week? Like, is there a certain day of the week? Is there a certain time of the day you do it? What's your like social media routine?
So for myself currently, because we run so many different businesses, I'm creating content every single day.
Oh, wow.
I've got assistants who help me with things. They create graphics, they edit reels, they do all that. So it really just depends on what my work hours are for the day, and I'm batch creating content during that time. So at this point, it's obviously very different than where it was in the past. But in the past, really, I think what's going to be the most beneficial is you kind of have to think about when do you have like the best energy? So for me, I know that like in the mornings is when I'm most productive, is when I'm feeling the best. Like I know that I'm going to be able to show up fully and be more creative. And so that's when I would typically schedule out time to batch create content or, record reels or whatever that looks like, writing captions. Because if you're trying to like rush that when you're not in a great mood and you're stressed, it's just not going to be as good of a post. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but especially if you're wanting to like up the quality of your content, it doesn't work out that well. So yeah, my routine in the past is I feel like an hour is a really good time frame that you can give yourself an hour every week to work on this and you can get all your posts done for the week and then you don't worry about it again. And so if you can schedule out an hour when you know you're going to have good energy and like the time to do it, to dedicate to it, it's going to be so much easier for you the rest of the week.
Do you mean for like getting the clips that are gonna go online, or is this for like putting those clips together? Like, how often would you say somebody should spend like getting all of their pieces of content, whether it's like B-roll stuff that's just they could do a voiceover over or put text over, or model sets, stuff like that. walk us through what like a good routine for an artist can be that's like maybe starting from zero or hasn't been posting in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say is just like when you're in the studio, like just for me, I was constantly just trying to take content. So even if you're like, I'm not sure what I'm going to use this for, I'm still going to take a time lapse of me doing this service. Or you can take B-roll content. Like that's so easy to do. If you don't know what B-roll content is, you literally just record yourself doing any type of task for your business, whether you're working on the computer or you're cleaning, you're setting up for a service. That's very easy content to get. And you can just take like general videos of like your retail area, your studio, taking photos and videos of that. And I would just say when you're in there, obviously, if you have any posts that you want to put up and you need specific content for, what I did previously was I would schedule out time in my studio to be doing those things each week. So in my schedule, when I was in the studio, I had 1 hour of flex time at the end of my day that I could put a client in if I needed to. I could do back end stuff. I could do inventory. I could clean, or I could take content or whatever else needed to be done in the studio that I couldn't do at home. And so that way I could take any content I needed. So that was something I scheduled into my day. But as far as like, I don't know, like typically would do it on like Sundays, schedule out an hour to just put the posts together and upload them to schedule. And that I feel like it's very easy. What's going to make it the easiest for you though is if you can take all of the content that you have, all the photos, all the videos, and put it together in one place. So it kind of gives you like a content vault, is what I like to call it. So it's very easy. And then even if you are on an off day where you're like, I don't have a post scheduled today or I need to post something, you've got all this content in one spot, all of your videos, all of your photos, and it's going to make it so much easier to even put up a post last minute when it's already put together and you don't necessarily like you could use an old B-roll video and you're not searching for it in your camera roll. So we use Google Drive for this with our clients. So we just have it all organized into different folders, lash photos, studio photos. And if you're a salon owner, it could be all the work that this particular stylist has done is in this folder. And having that organized makes it a lot easier when it comes time to actually sit down and pick like, what photos am I using? What videos am I using? Then you can edit things and, create any graphics you need to, that kind of thing.
I really like that because I think the biggest part of like how when it feels daunting is that you have to put all of these pieces together at once. And so your idea of once a week putting all of the stuff for the week together and scheduling it out means that the rest of your week you can just be getting more content and more photos, more B-roll, all of that, and putting it in your little folders that you've created. That's a really good strategy. I like that a lot. I think I'm gonna start doing that. I have a social media person that she lives here in Austin, and she comes to the salon and gets content. But I myself, for like my own page, don't have someone doing that for me. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm really locked in listening. Like, what can I do?
Yeah, it's so much easier. Well, and it's nice too when you do own a salon where like your girls or your stylist, whoever it is, can upload their content into their folder too. That's why we like Google Drive because anyone in the salons can go in and upload their stuff to their folder, put the note on it of what service it is or anything specific they want in the caption. And then everything you need is all right in one spot. And it's way less overwhelming when it comes time to sit down and post.
So are you creating the content from like a computer or tablet versus like your phone?
It kind of just depends on what I'm creating. I use a little bit of all three, honestly. If I'm on the go, I'll probably grab my iPad and take that with me. Like I'll edit people's photos while I'm sitting at my kids' soccer practice and stuff. And when I've got downtime, if I'm waiting in the school pickup line, iPad is definitely easier than my phone.
Mhm.
But I try to do everything on the computer. It's just easier for me, like on a desktop, especially for like scheduling posts. And then I don't have to have all of that on my phone. Where we do so much content now, my phone gets
The
a
storage.
lot yeah, like I run into storage issues. I have a lot of photos and videos that are not mine on there. So I try not to do too much on there, but like CapCut and different things, there's certain apps that are easier to navigate on your phone.
Mhm.
So in those particular instances, I will use my phone if I need to.
By the time this airs, we actually don't know if TikTok is even gonna be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I really hope something can happen last minute and fix it, fix the problem, the ban. But, if TikTok is still gonna be around for a while, I heard that they might be extending it for, like, 200 and something days.
Yeah,
Um
270, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. So if that were the case, you are doing TikTok content and Instagram content. Do you post the same things on those platforms? And if not, why?
So it kind of depends on the client and their content strategy. We will try to repurpose what we can for both platforms to make it easy for everybody. Because a big reason why a lot of our clients come to us is because they want to simplify their social media and they don't like they want to cut down on the overwhelm. So with TikTok, we generally try to make it more like lifestyle type of content, if that makes sense, where it's like behind the scenes or they're educating, like they're on video educating. And it's less of the B-roll stuff unless they're putting together, like, let's say a voiceover, right? And then on Instagram, it might be more B-roll or more like service videos of like, the actual lashes themselves. I feel like those don't do as well on TikTok. So we definitely try and prioritize, what's going to perform the best on each platform. And I think that's kind of where you can test it too. And you can say, okay, let's try this content type on both platforms and see where it performs the best. And if it's not working as well on TikTok, then maybe you don't post that on TikTok as much as Instagram. But generally speaking, we do try to repurpose where we can because it cuts down on the overwhelm for clients, especially when they need to like record things or do voiceovers or things like that.
I think it's so interesting that everyone uses all of like multiple apps, but the vibe is completely different on all of them. Like you would not post the same things that you do on Pinterest to TikTok to Instagram to Facebook to Threads. It's very different on each one. And so, yeah, I think that even makes it more daunting for people and it's probably why like you have so many clients because yeah, we need help over here with all these different platforms. So something I see you personally post about on your page is about kind of blending motherhood and business and how to kind of optimize for both. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that is very important to me. I've got 3 kids, and being present with them is just a very huge priority for me, which is part of the reason why I did transition into the social media management agency because I feel like my goals changed as a mother and my priorities were different, and this is what aligned best with that. So I think that's something that you kind of have to think about as a business owner is, what are your goals and how are you building your business around the kind of life that you want to live? And so for me, I knew I wanted to be present with my kids. I wanted to be able to volunteer in their schools more and, be a part of their extracurricular activities. And so this is obviously going to look different for everyone depending on your level of support around you and like the community that you have. But I feel like there's a lot of moms out there who just are drowning because they feel like they have to do it all and they have to do it one specific way. But that's the beauty of being a business owner is that you get to set up your schedule and your time and when you go in to take appointments around your life. Like your clients don't have to be the ones who dictate that all of the time. Now, obviously, there's going to be times where you have to kind of give and take and maybe come in for a client when you don't normally come in. But for myself, like before I closed my last studio, the schedule I was working, I would come in and take 2 clients, go home and go nurse my baby so that I could breastfeed, and then come back and take 2 more clients, and I would have my hour of flex time at the end of the day where I could take another client or do whatever back end I needed to do. So I had my schedule set up to support me in being a parent, and that was so much less stressful from not just myself, but for my kids as well, because I was still able to show up and be there when I needed to. And so I've just always done that since then. Like my business is always set up, my schedule is always set up to so that I can be with my kids and be with them when I want to be present with them. And then I'm also getting my work things done when I need to so that when I am with my kids, I'm more present with them. I'm not on my phone. Obviously there's times where, you know, It's not like a strict thing, but it works out so much better for everyone and like our family dynamic. So I would just say, like, if you are a parent out there listening, like, just think about what that looks like for you, what your ideal schedule would be, and how maybe you can start transitioning into that a little bit easier than this new year, to adjust things so that it's less stressful for you.
So I am the same way. Everything I do is for like centered around my son first, and I'm a single mom. So, but I do co-parent. So that time that my son is not with me, whether he's at school or whether he's with his dad, I'm using that time to like full force get done what I need to get done. That way, when I am with him, like I don't even know if he does know that I have like that I work because he's been to the salon, but I don't think he
Mhm.
ever really sees me work that much because I do so much when he's not around, including like social time and self care too. And I feel like that is the luxury of being a business owner, getting that flexibility. But also, if you have employees too who are mothers, the beautiful thing is you could also help them do the same. Like, just because they chose to work in your company doesn't mean that they can't also get that same luxury. So I also do the same thing for the people, whether they have kids or not. Family comes first for us in our building. And so, yeah, I think it's very important that everyone looks at like what's really important and what are we doing this for, and then like let their schedule reflect those priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. And I love that you do that for your girls in your salon too. I do that for my team. It's always family first.
Yes, for sure. So walk me through like some of your routines that kind of help set up like an optimal work day, and then like an optimal like at home flow, if that makes sense. In
Yeah.
terms of like, getting it all done and just like it being in a constant flow.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I feel like I'm always kind of working on in a sense because, life changes, your kids' schedules change, and you kind of have to go with the flow on that a little bit. But on an ideal day in my world, um, I used to not wake up before my kids, like just being up at night breastfeeding and things. I've been either pregnant and or breastfeeding for like 7.5 years straight. So the sleep deprivation is real, and so there were times when I was not waking up before my kids, and, you wanna have that mom time, and you're staying up late and, scrolling on your phone, doing whatever, but I had to really stop doing that because I was realizing when I was having harder days, more stressed out, like, just overwhelmed, I was realizing that was correlating with when I'm scrolling more, when I'm staying up late, when I'm not getting my sleep, when I'm not taking care of myself. So once I figured out those correlations, I was really able to figure out what an ideal day in my world does look like and what I need to be doing as a parent and as a business owner to make sure that like I'm getting what I need to done. So on an ideal day, I'm waking up before my kids. Even if I'm tired, I try to wake up at least an hour before them so that I can get a little bit of quiet time in, but also if I can get my deadlines for the day done before kids wake up, then I'm not stressed the rest of the day because even if I don't have work hours later in the day, or, if I don't get back to something, if I can't circle back to it later on in the day for whatever reason, if something comes up, then I'm not stressed out because all of my deadlines are done. So that's an absolute priority first thing in the morning. Any deadlines, get those done ASAP. And then obviously we've got, kids, and if I can fit the gym in, I will. My life currently, my husband and I, we moved to a state where we don't have any family or friends around us. So we don't have any type of like community support at this point. We've been here for almost 2 years now, but you know how it goes being in a new place. It's just you don't have that community around you to help with your kids. And my husband commutes 1 hour like, back well, I guess it's 2 hours round trip.
Mhm.
So and he works long hours, like, at least 10 hours a day on top of commuting. So, he's working long hours, so it's generally speaking, it's just me with the kids all day long. So, if I can make it to the gym, I will, but that's not always something I can do because he leaves at 4 in the morning. So but doing something for myself, even if I'm doing a workout at home or I'm stretching, doing meditation, I try and fit in at least something that's for me too, to like just get my day started on a better note. And then I find once it's time for my kids to get up, like, I'm not waking up into immediate chaos. I've got a calm mind. I'm on top of my things. Like, I feel good about myself. That helps my self-confidence for the day, and the day goes so much smoother after that. And obviously it's chaotic with, getting kids up and school routines and drop off and all of that. But yeah, getting a little bit of childcare help has been a huge game changer for me as like someone who works from home. And I think, I've lashed from home before as well. And, in that situation too, I've seen people ask about like lashing with their kids there. It's gonna be so much less stressful for you. You just get that little bit of childcare help. That's not anything to be ashamed about. And having that support on your side is just gonna make everything easier for you. So yeah, I would say those are the few things, do something for you in the morning. And if I just wake up before my kids, that is what puts my day on a good note.
Yeah, like kind of switching that time. You could either go to bed early and wake up and have that time before the kids, or you can go to bed really late and have that time at night, but then your morning's just going to be set off on the wrong foot. And I think too, 10 minutes at night is way different than 10 minutes in the morning, meaning if you could prep your day and prep. I only have one child, so I'm saying this like, I don't know how many children the people who are listening have, but setting out this stuff in the evening helps the morning so much. Like, just the lunch is already in the fridge, already made, the clothes are laid out. So in the morning, all you have to worry about is, or not even worry actually, all you have to do is just get ready, eat breakfast, and chill out a little bit. And in your case, like where you're actually getting some work done too before the workday really even starts, I think that's a brilliant idea, because then it just makes the whole day kind of like, cool, if I get more done, that's great. And, yeah, so I love this topic too, because it's relevant to so many people, and all of us, just as you said earlier, like you're always trying to figure it out. Same here. Like I'm always trying to like take away and add things. Like how can I just like optimize this? Because we all want to do like our best in both worlds, business and as moms.
Yeah, absolutely. And, my kids are just my biggest priority. So it's something that's like, it's important to me to figure it out and to make it work, because a lot of people are not willing to look at what they are doing to contribute to hard things that they're going through, right? And that was something I really had to face too. And a lot of people aren't willing to make the changes to do better for themselves and for their kids. And so that's not an easy thing to do. So if you are even willing to look at that and say, "Okay, how can we make our day flow better? How can I show up for my kids better? How can I get things done and organize my schedule better, be better at time management?" Like, just the fact that you're willing to do that, like, you're such a good mom. And like, I applaud you for that, because it's not easy to do, especially if it's something like, for me, where it was like I'm scrolling too much, I'm on my phone too much, like I'm staying up too late, like doing whatever,
Mhm.
and looking at what I can do to change my habits, to be more present with them, and also make sure that like all of our clients are taken care of, because that's obviously should be a high priority for all of us, as well as to do a good job for our clients and show up for them as like our best version of ourselves too, to give them a good experience. So
I think too, I'm hearing like be very present in whatever it is you're doing. If it's your time with your kids right then, you shouldn't be scrolling. And if
mhm.
you can save your work for when you're actually working and not, you know, doing that to the best of your ability too. I think that that's really important, that when you're with your clients, you're just fully present with them, and that will even help your client retention, because they'll be
Yes,
able to tell. So
absolutely.
yeah, and I feel like what you were saying of like it's difficult to take a look at yourself and see, what am I doing? How am I being complicit in the situation that I'm in? Like the scrolling, like the putting stuff off. And I heard something today and I was like, wow, this is really good. It was, sometimes your self care is just avoidance. And I was like, wow. Wow. Okay. Because we
Yeah.
tell ourselves, like, oh, I just need this rest, or I'm just going to doom scroll right now and order DoorDash and binge watch something while my kids are in the other room. And it's like, what are you avoiding? you're putting off all of this work that you should have done that day, or you should be playing with your kids right then. You're not going to get that time back. So anyways, I heard that quote and I was like, wow, I love that. I want to make a whole episode about this.
Yeah, no, that is really good, but yeah. And it's hard to look at that and say
Mhm.
like, "Okay, yeah, this is not, doom scrolling is not helping me." It's like you're avoiding it and, dissociating, and I've definitely had to work on that in the past, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, so thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I think the tools that you gave in this episode about creating a content calendar, what are the things that you're aiming to create this month? What messages do you want your audience to know? And what
Mhm.
pieces of content do we need to get this week in order to make these videos? And what hour can I find in my week, whether it's a Sunday like you suggested or a different day? What hour can I set aside to create all of these pieces of content and schedule them out? Well, is there any parting thoughts that you have for the audience, just as we close out today's episode?
Yeah, for sure. So, I really think at the end of the day, like, tap into your why, because that makes things so much, I wanna say it's easier, but, like, if you're really anchored into why you do this beyond, like, we do it because we love our clients, right? We love what we do, or, even I feel like the amount of money you can make with it isn't that great of a why. Kind of have to look at the bigger picture of things. Like, yes, you want a lot of clients because you wanna make this amount of money, but if you find yourself making that much money and you're burnt out, then what's your why, right? Like, why are you even doing that to begin with? So I feel like if you can really tap into that why and decide what like what opportunities does owning my own business bring to me that other opportunities wouldn't, right? So for me, it's that time flexibility with my kids. Like, anytime things get hard and I think about, if I had to go back to a normal job, abso-freaking-lutely not. It's not, that keeps me going through all the ups and the downs of being a business owner. And, with social media, since we talked about that earlier on, really sit down. I think the most important thing you can do is figure out like what your brand messaging is. Like, what do you want to be known for? What are the strengths that you have as a business owner, or what strengths do your service providers in your salon have? And how are you like putting that into your messaging on your content? Like, how are you including that in your captions? Because that's how potential clients are going to know if you're truly the one for them. And it's going to make creating content and planning out your content calendar so much easier, and like writing these captions, if you know what your brand messaging is and what you stand for as a salon and as a business. And planning that out will be so much easier when you know, like, this is what we want to be known for in our area, right? And we do have like a free content guide as well that can help you with this. And that way you just literally can plug it, your messaging into these different ideas that it has, stick those on the calendar, and then decide what photos or videos you want to put with it. And it makes your life so much easier. And a lot of the ideas, like, you can reuse too. It's not just like something, it's like you use the idea once and then, okay, now what I'm going to do next. It's like, okay, I think one of them talks about like different pain points your potential audience has, or like different frequently asked questions, right? And then maybe once a week you're addressing a frequently asked question. So it's got a lot of really good ideas that you can reuse and put into your content strategy long term. So I will send that link over to Shelby so you guys can have a copy of that if you would like.
Cool. Yes, I will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much, Erica, for coming on. You shared so much with us, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Of course.